بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما.
O Allah, help us learn what is beneficial to us. Help us benefit from what you have enabled us to learn and increase our knowledge. Alhamdulillah, we are studying the first property of ism, that is i'rab or status. We are to learn three things about i'rab. A. What is i'rab? B. Three forms of i'rab. C. How to tell the status i'rab. We have already covered points A and B, so let's move to point C. How to tell the status i'rab of an ism in Arabic sentences. There are two ways of recognizing the i'rab of an ism. Al-i'rabu bil-harkah, i'rab through ending haraka. The second way of recognizing i'rab of an ism is al-i'rabu bil-hurufi. In this case, we recognize the i'rab of an ism by the haraka of its last letter. This method is used either if ism is singular, masculine or feminine, or if ism is a broken plural, which we will learn later. Note, haraka means Fatha, Kasrah, or Dammah. Examples of haraka method. Alhamdu meaning praise. Alhamdu has got Dammah at the end. So because of Dammah at the end, the status of Alhamdu is Rafa. Next, As-sirata means path. Because of the Fatha at the end of As-sirata, the status is Nasab. And finally, Rabbi means master. Because of the Kasrah at the end, the status is Jar. The second way of recognizing i'rab of an ism is al-i'rabu bil-hurufi, status through ending combination of letters. In this case, we recognize the i'rab of an ism by a combination of letters at its end. This method is used if the ism is pair or plural in number, either masculine or feminine. Examples of al-hurufu method. There are three examples here of plural masculine. Muslihuna, muflihuna, yuqinuna. All these three isms are ending with una, which is a sign of rafa status. Next, muttaqina, ad-dallina. These are examples of plural masculine. Muttaqina and ad-dallina, they have got ina ending, which means they're nasab, or they could be jar status as well, because it's ending with ina. Next, yaqumani, akharani. Both of these isms are dual or pair, masculine. They end with ani, which is a sign of rafa status. Next, as-samawati tayyibatin as-salihati. They're plural feminine and ending with ati. This shows that they are either nasab status or jar status. Finally, imra'ataini, jannataini, muslimataini. They are dual feminine. Because of the ending with taini on all three isms, they belong to nasab or jar status. In order to understand the above methods, we will use the following charts. Muslim chart. This is one of the few things which we must memorize. So please pay attention. As explained earlier, there are three forms of i'rab: rafa, nasab, and jar. The singular in rafa state is muslimun. Dual is muslimani. And finally, plural of muslimun is muslimuna. So it's rafa state, muslimun, muslimani, muslimuna. So that was rafa. Now let's look at nasab, which is mansub state. Musliman is the singular, muslimaini is the dual, and muslimina is the plural. In the same way, jar status, singular is muslimin, dual is muslimaini, and plural is muslimina. It must be noted and remembered that the dual of both nasab and jar state is same. For example, here, muslimaini, muslimaini, both same for nasab and jar. In the same way, the plural for both nasab state and jar state is same, muslimina, muslimina. Let's look at Muslim chart feminine. Rafa state, nasab state, jar state. Muslimatun, muslimatan, muslimatin. Let's look at the singular, dual and plural, how it changes in Rafa state. You can see it's muslimatun, muslimatani, muslimatun. I'll repeat, muslimatun, muslimatani, muslimatun. In nasab state, singular, dual and plural would be muslimatan, muslimataini, muslimatin. And in jar, it is muslimatin, muslimataini, muslimatin. What must be noted here that in nasab state and jar state, for dual and plural they're same. Muslimatan, muslimataini, muslimatin. And for jar it's same. Muslimataini, muslimatin. Please note, in English language we have singular and plural, two or more, but in Arabic language we have singular one, pair two or dual, and plural three and more. In other words, in Arabic plural starts from three. All the words in feminine chart have an extra ta in them. That is the sign of femininity. Let me explain the Muslim chart a little bit more. As we have mentioned that in case of singular ism, both masculine and feminine, we determine the i'rab of the ism with haraka of its last letter. Now, as you can see that in the singular columns, both masculine and feminine, when ism is in rafa, the haraka of its last letter is Dammah. When ism is in nasab, the haraka of its last letter is Fatha. And lastly, when ism is in jar, the haraka of its last letter is Kasrah. So we can say that if ism is singular, we will look at haraka of the last letter. And Dammah will mean rafa, Fatha will mean nasab, and Kasrah will mean jar. In the case of dual and plural isms, we determine the status of i'rab of the ism with the combination of letters at the end of the ism. For example, in the masculine chart, in plural column on the top, we have muslimuna. Focus at its last two letters, una. This una combination at the end of any ism will tell us that this masculine ism is in rafa status and plural. Take another example from the feminine chart, pair column, dual column. At number 2, we have muslimataini. Focus at the tiny combination at the end of it. Whenever you have an ism ending with tiny combination, it will tell us that this feminine ism is in nasab status and 2 in number. Likewise, look at all of the isms in pair and plural columns of both masculine and feminine, and you will find this combination of words towards the end of each ism producing a unique sound to tell you the status of that ism. Let's try to do a summary of what we have discussed so far. Please note, the change in the form of ism is due to the change of its role. There are two ways to know i'rab. So on the status column, you can see rafa, nasab and jar. And the second column from right is bilharakati, ending haraka. Again, singular, Dammah, Fatha, Kasrah. The final column on the left, bilhurufi, ending combination of letters for dual or pair and plural. So for rafa status, for male and dual, it will be ani at the end. And for male plural, it will be una. For female dual, it will be tani. And for female plural, it will be atun. Let's go to nasab. For male dual, it would be aini, ni. And for male plural, it would be ina. For female dual would be tiny, and for female plural, it will be atin. Finally, jar status. male dual would be aini ending, and for jar male plural would be ina ending. Female dual would be tiny ending, and for female plural it will be atin ending. So I hope you found it useful, but I would strongly suggest that you watch this video at least 2 or 3 times.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.